Hello, everyone. If you listened to my video last week, you know I stepped away from my discussion of the seals of Revelation because of my deep concern for the condition of our country. Woke and its satanic base seems to be everywhere, even in some churches. If this continues, I believe the tribulation will not be far behind. I may shock some of you in what I'm about to say, but I believe it needs to be said. The Democratic Party of today is not at all what it once was. Once the party of the people, it has been taken over by the progressive and the woke movement, which is definitely anti-Christian and anti-Christians. If they win again in 2024, I don't see a God-blessed country, and perhaps never will again. That's when the seals might be broken and the Antichrist released. Even then, however, remember this: the first 3.5 years of the tribulation will be peaceful. The Antichrist will make peace with Israel, and all will seem well. If we have not been raptured, we who have read Scripture and are fully aware will realize we have 3.5 years remaining until the Israeli peace treaty is broken and the horror of the tribulation begins. That is why it is so important that you and I know the Bible, and especially the future it predicts. Now let's get back to the seals. First, there are people who believe the seals have already been opened and have been accomplished throughout history. I absolutely do not believe that. Revelation is a vision given to the Apostle John with information to share about what is to come. Going through the seals, I believe they usher in the first stages of the tribulation period, and no one has been through any of those yet. In review of my video 2 weeks ago, though many believe the rider on the white horse in Seal 1 is Jesus, I do not. I believe he is the Antichrist, the very, very charismatic politician who will sign an Israeli peace treaty. The Bible calls him, quote, a conqueror bent on conquest, end quote. I believe we are seeing some of that clearly in America today. Is that purposeful so that we recognize the worst of the worst when we see him? Conquest is exactly the role of the Antichrist. He is out to rob the world of salvation and will do his best to accomplish that goal. Jesus, though, will not return to earth until the final number of people are saved and the Battle of Armageddon begins. Be aware. Know the Bible well enough to recognize false prophets and false teaching. The fifth seal is one that seems sad to me. When the seal is opened, we see souls killed strictly because of their faith, under the altar, crying out to God and asking when he will repay those who slayed them. How long will it be, they said. I'd like you to think for a moment about people we have personally heard of who might be under that altar. How about the 20 men in Ethiopia who were forced to kneel next to one another and were then shot in their head for their faith? Or the young girl shot at Columbine High School for the same reason. What about Pastor Dietrich Bonhoeffer, placed in a concentration camp for his opposition to the Nazis, and killed just 3 weeks before the liberation. All of these died for their faith. God's answer to all of them is that there are still a number of martyrs who have to join them before his revenge begins. Are you a martyr? Might I be a martyr? Only God knows. The 6th seal changes the earth completely via an earthquake. The sun turns black and the moon turns blood red. People on earth will not only see that, but they will see stars fall from the sky. I don't know where you live, but stars in the night sky is one thing that makes life incredibly beautiful for me where I live. Living at the top of a mountain, I feel at night as if I can touch each star. They are that close to me, and there are thousands of them. Imagine my standing there as they fall from the sky. That fall is followed, according to Revelation chapter 6, verse 14, by, quote, the sky receding like a scroll, rolling up, and every mountain and island removed from its place, end quote. My opinion is that this seal describes a sign near the end of the tribulation and definitely has not happened yet at any point in history. The 7th seal is found in chapter 8 of Revelation. When opened, there is silence in heaven for 1/2 hour. Some claim that 1/2 hour in heaven equals 7 days. What we do know is that the number 7 biblically stands for perfection. With the opening of seal 8, the seals are done to perfection, and the trumpets begin. Things on earth will get much worse, so this 1/2 hour of heavenly silence may be a time of prayer, recognition of all in heaven of what has occurred, and the realization of what is to come. Some might call it, and do, the calm before the storm. As we close our discussion of the 7 seals and move to the trumpets, we should thank God that as true Christians, we will be raptured at some point and will not have to endure all the suffering that comes at the end of the age. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be aware, nor does it mean we should close our eyes and simply move on. Knowledge is the best witness we have for God, if we share that knowledge with others. It is our job to do that. Listen to the words of 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, quote, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have, end quote. Without knowledge, you might be able to give a brief answer, but not the in-depth answer many people are or will be looking for. I pray this series will give you knowledge, the knowledge you need to share with those who desperately need to be saved. Next week, we will discuss the trumpets of Revelation. Have a blessed week until then. See you Thursday.